show. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Yeah, coming through loud and clear. For those that don't know, we didn't actually have a chance to check the audio this morning, so thankfully it's all.
That's good. Yeah, it's resonating loud and clear through the office. I'm in the office today.
So. Awesome stuff. Okay, look. Before we start, I understand that Selhurst Park, home of your beloved Crystal Palace, is about to get an upgrade.
Yes.
True.
Very true. It passed finally the planning consent last week, so we're going to hopefully finances and obviously status within the Premiership permitting, I will be sitting in a brand new seat, hopefully in about 3 years' time.
I just hope that they don't ruin the feel of that stadium.
No.
The sound generated at Selhurst Park is like no other stadium I've ever been to. Absolutely astonishing. Because it's not, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, not the biggest ground, not the biggest crowd, but man alive, do they make some noise?
Yeah, we're very lucky that is. Yeah, it's definitely a 1970s stadium, and that allows it to actually the sound reverberate around, and we have a set of people called the Ultras who have all now congregated together, and once they've got a drum, and once they get going, they get going.
Right, look, I've just got back from Germany, where around 500,000 people had smiles on their faces. I hope you're not going to spoil that with some bad news. So let's start. What are the scores on the doors for October 2022?
Well, I'm not going to spoil those smiles at all, really, because in October, the overall total for the BBC Live League was £6.47 billion. And when you compare that to September, which was 4.2, and October 4.9, we've done very well this month. Companies winning projects, not as many as last month. There's 245 businesses that are seen to be securing new orders this month, and there was 369 new orders this month compared to 432 last month. So yeah, we had a fairly good month this month, and if you compare it to October last year as well, we had a very good month as well. So yeah, we have some positivity in those figures.
Maybe that explains. We've had a comment in from Ken Hatcher who says you're looking well. maybe it's that good news that's filtering through.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, it's a new location. Well, it's a different location to what I'm normally talking to you from. So yeah, it's within the office today.
Awesome stuff. Right, top 5. Who came out top of the pile in October?
Well, top of the pile in October was a joint venture, and it was a joint venture between Balfour Beatty, Costains, Kears, and Keltbray. Now, the project itself is a huge, absolutely huge project, which is why the total is over the 6 billion this month. It was the project total was 1.3 billion pounds, and it's the A66 Northern Trans-Pennine project. Dual the remaining 18-mile single carriageway sections of the road and key junctions between the M6 junction 40 and the A1 Scotch Corner improvements, and it's actually been described as one of the levelling up projects that the government initially put forward, but also why this team were actually appointed for this project is they're going to deliver hopefully the scheme 2 or 3 years quicker than any other joint ventures that were actually bidding for this project. So huge project. So it's a JV. I don't know how much each one of them have got, whether it be what Keltbray have got, what Kears have got, what Costains have got, what Balfours have got, but it's 1.3 billion. Those combined businesses, it's fantastic.
And this just goes to show how old I am and how long I've been around. I actually, one of the last jobs I ever did for Contract Journal was reporting on the previous round of upgrades to the A1 at Scotch Corner about 33 years ago. So it's about due an upgrade, I would guess.
Yeah, I would think that, if there's been nothing since then, I should think it's looking very tired and very busy. the amount of traffic that we've got coming through that neck of the woods. So yeah,
now,
that's
bearing in mind that is obviously sort of a publicly funded project, we've had a question in from Gary Muirhead. Any signs of the government cutting back on government contracts awarded? We may have to come back to that one, I think.
I'll come back to that because I do think those clouds are gathering, and until we get to the end of the month when our new Chancellor stands up, Mr. Hunt, we won't know actually what's going to be happening. But yes, there are some clouds over the horizon, shall we say?
Okay, so that was a massive project for number one. Who's in number two spot?
Number two is Mace. They've picked up a single project, £450 million project, and it's the redevelopment of the site to include a demolition of Beckett House, the erection of a 27-storey building, and this is in St Thomas Street, Southwark. And the client is a private individual on that one, but yeah, it's a housing. Well, we've classed it as mixed-use development because there are obviously other areas of there is offices going to be provided and other improved public realm improvements around that area because, as it says, it's a 27-storey building with obviously for housing as well. Number three on the list is, so that's a London project. So the first one was obviously a Northern project. The second one was a London project. The third one is a Plymouth project, a southwest area. Now, it's down at, it's called Ten Dock, which is at Devonport Royal Dockyard. It's improvements down there. It's a £350 million project. Now, the overall contractor is going to be Babcock International. But what they have done is sign deals with both BAM and Kiers to do a lot of the works as well. But it's to provide enhanced modern infrastructure and maintenance of the existing and new classes of submarines. So it's around the dockyard in Plymouth itself. So we don't know whether that's something in connection with the Ukraine issues or the Russian issues or the Chinese issues or something like that. But it's to bring up to date those areas down there in the southwest. So a £350 million project down in that neck of the woods is very, very welcome indeed. Fourth in the table is Balfour Beatty. Now, I did say that they were in the joint venture, but this is Balfour Beatty on their own. And it's another maintenance highways maintenance project that they're picking up, and this is for East Sussex County Council. It's highways network and infrastructure, including roads, pavements, drainage, street lights, traffic lights and bridges, and that's a £297 million project. Now that will no doubtedly be something that will be over a number of years, 5-year period, but yes, they've picked that up, so they're number 4 on the list. And finally on the list is Midgard, where we've got it down. Their parent company has secured the project, and it's Reddington's that have. Sorry, that was a bit noisy. That was, but yes, they've picked up a project. So it's a £300 million project at Brent Cross Town, Brent Cross, and it's the latest major phase of homes, retail, and leisure at Brent Cross Town in North London. Is going to be completed in 2025, hopefully. It's 800 market sale units and build to rent homes as well. So it is a mixed use development, but yes, it's a £300 million project there. So that's the top 5.
Okay, had a question in from our friend Mick. Neil, have you heard anything about Thames Water planning a new water main around the whole of the Isle of Dogs? Not a silly question, but us locals can get no information on this project.
No, it's been reported on the television that that's going to happen, because I understand there were some issues around that, but we haven't seen any bids for that as of yet. That's great to listen and hear from that, because obviously we're getting contact with the likes of Murphy and people like that, because they're leaders in that field. But it may even go to a more joint venture, because obviously if there is going to be a water main, they may need some substations or some kind of substations throughout the Isle of Dogs. But now we'll get on to that, but we haven't heard anything as of yet, so we haven't seen the deal that's actually been signed on that one. I know the Isle of Sheppey is having something, because they had some difficulties over the summer with water, and they're doing, I think that's going to be by a robotic exercise of drilling all the way from one side to the Isle of Sheppey. And that's going to be for new water mains there. but we haven't heard of that one in particular.
All right. Now, you made a very strong point about the fact that we had the big project up in the northeast. We've got a big project in London. We've got another one down in the southwest. Incidentally, and I will come back to this in just a second, had a report through this morning that says that construction is the UK's deadliest industry, and apparently 2 of the accident hotspots are Greater London and Devon.
Wow.
Yeah, who knew?
Wow.
But that takes us nicely on to our usual question of the regions. How are the regions faring? Treat Wales and Scotland particularly gently, if you would be so kind.
Of course I will. Yeah, Yorkshire this month is actually leader of the pack because of that project on the A66. Not many projects, only 22, but obviously with that one huge project up there that they've got 1.5 billion. Then we've got London at 1.4 billion. And then we've got little bits and pieces across the UK. Obviously, we got the project in East Sussex. So East and West Sussex has got over 400 million. Scotland and Wales. Well, something that hasn't happened in a long time. Wales is actually better than Scotland this month, but that doesn't say a great deal. Wales is something like 149 million. 141 million. Sorry, 141 million, and Scotland is 140 million. So they both performed not very well this month, unfortunately.
Oh dear. I should watch the chat with interest because I'm sure.
Yes, I think there'll be a few things popping up on the screen in a minute. I'm sure there will be.
Now, obviously, we've seen London usurped as the main region. What about house building? Has that also been knocked off its perch?
It has indeed. Yes, roads and footpaths and cycleways and infrastructure has definitely is 1.8 billion this month. And obviously you've got that big job in Sussex, and obviously the even bigger project up in on the A66. So they've got 1.8 billion. The housing market is 1.3 billion. Now, because of the project down in Plymouth, that's classed as harbours and waterways, which is normally a very small number, but obviously this month is a very large number, and that's 428 million. And then we've got some warehouses as well. So yeah, it's mainly focused on infrastructure this month, infrastructure and housing. That's the way it goes. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange month. We were hoping that it was going to be a bit more consistent across the board, but it isn't. It's very much focused on 2 areas this month.
One of the things that I don't know if you've seen this morning, because I know you've had a busy morning and you're about to have an even busier morning. There's a report today in the Construction Inquirer that is saying that builders and construction companies are finding it very, very hard to access credit right now. So in addition to rising fuel costs, labour and material shortages, we now have another hurdle to overcome, and that's an availability of cash. Are you hearing anything like that from the market?
Yes, we are. And that's not just so much builders, it's actually clients as well. So it's right at the top of the food chain that are also having difficulties. And part of the commentary today really should be that obviously at 12 o'clock we're going to get understandably a different interest rate, and all indications are that it's going to be something like 3%. It's going to go up by 0.75 from where it is at the moment, which is going to have a negative effect on housing as well. And we're also seeing quite a lot of chatter about the fact that the cost of houses is going to go down probably in the next 6 months, which is going to be the first time in many years, because the availability of credit is getting harder and harder. So even for the personnel, let alone businesses. So if you're looking for mortgages, the availability of credit is getting more and more difficult. So it is a positive month this month regarding the actual contract award. So it's better to have, we're back to the birds in the hand is worth 2 in the bush here. Definitely keep the order book full. However, what the outlook looks in the future for the next 6, 9, 12 months is still very uncertain. And with the black hole that is already, the feed from government has already said there's a black hole in their finances. Well, the first thing they start to look at is obviously these infrastructure projects, etc. And it was very concerning to hear that They were even looking at HS2 at one point. You know, when you're considering, I think the last report was something like, was it 37,000 people that are directly employed on the site? You know, that, which is huge numbers. And that's just directly, let alone indirectly, whether it's been manufacturers, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, the construction industry is back again, holding its breath, I think, and going into the worst period of time as well, because we're coming up to Christmas, when we normally like to go to those cocktail parties and Christmas parties.
There's a couple of things that really triggered there. First of all, the impact of interest rate rises on housing. Obviously, housing has been the crutch that has basically kept the industry upright for the last 3 or 4 years. So that would be a concern. I guess looking at the flip side, you know, we can't be that far away from a general election. You know, if the Conservative government were to start cutting things like HS2 or infrastructure projects, that's only going to impact on their electability, I guess. So hopefully they will see the good sense and keep spending the cash.
Yeah, you know, it's strange to try and say to a government that, you know, keep spending, because we know the impact on that is really going to be, we're going to have to keep paying with our taxes, etc., etc. But realistically, that's what we need to happen, you know. And we need the likes of, you know, we're so close to that marquee project down at Stonehenge for the tunnel underneath there. We're so close to that being given the green light. It'll be really, really disappointing if they say, no, sorry, can't do that, and do other ones like that. And the other concerns are that, you know, there's this huge factory, mega battery factory, isn't it, up north, which is an ISG project, which has got all sorts of funding issues at the moment. And I gather some of the staff there on an existing site have taken pay cuts, etc., within the existing businesses, and that's going to have an impact, obviously, on the economy, but also on our green issues as well. You know, battery plants are absolutely required at the moment.
We just had a comment in from our friend Steve Williamson. I've heard there's sites up here in Scotland that are stopping now to open up foundations, probably due to people not getting mortgages, price of housing. That's not good, is it? I mean, obviously, Scotland, as we already said, Scotland and Wales are maybe a little bit further down the food chain in terms of demand and that kind of thing. But we don't want to hear about sites stopping at all, do we?
No, and that is the risk. Yes, they're going to put the foundations in so they can maintain the fact that they've got a planning permission, so they can come back to them in 2, 3, 4 years' time. But yeah, I don't envy Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak over the next 2 or 3 weeks, because they have got an extraordinarily difficult task to try and balance the black hole, but also maintain the economy, you know. And I should think there's many sleepless nights between number 10 and number 11 Downing Street at this present moment in time.
Good is all I can say. Good. And I just look forward to fast forwarding about 3 years when both of them end up in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and they are fed a rich diet of chicken anus and kangaroo testicles. But that's just me.
Oh joy!
It seems like a very odd discussion to have. You know, we've as you say, we've just had a very, very, very good October. You know, 6 billion plus. That's great news, and yet there is that cloud gathering. And I guess one of the worries is we won't know just how severe the downturn is, because, as you say, November, December, notoriously quiet months. They sort of drift off into the new year, and you know, we'll have people sitting on their hands basically until the new year before they spend the money. So it's going to be a funny couple of months, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed. We're getting indications that the number of tenders that are currently in the marketplace is definitely diminishing. But the clients are saying, oh, no, it's going to come. I think there's a lot of spin out there at the present moment in time. And that spin is being done purely so it doesn't set the alarm bells off around the country, really. But you can only keep that spin going, because if you're saying, oh, yeah, it's coming out in a couple of weeks' time, that bid or whatever, and in a couple of weeks' time it's not there, you're going to run out of time. You know, you're kind of, well, is it really? You know, is that really going to happen? And I do fear for the public purse. You know, there has got to be, because they're already talking about austerity 2.0, aren't they? You know, and wow, 2008 onwards, you and I sat down and we looked at each other and saying, where and what's going to actually happen? because of the banking crisis and everything else. But we do seem to be having another perfect storm again in 2022, 2023.